Inspirational. Powerfully refining. And unapologetically controversial. Conversations with the Royal Empress. The entire world knows the secret of who you are. Now is the time to step into your queendom and become the Royal Empress that you're meant to be. One woman at a time. Conversations with the Royal Empress. Now Akila, she's the analytical Empress. Akima, she's the Empress that will challenge you. And Lakashay Nadira, she's the Empress who tells it like it is. Now, straighten up your crown and be elevated through conversations. Conversations with the Royal Empress.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Conversations with the Royal Empress. This is Lakashay Nadira, and joining me are my two beautiful co-hosts, Akila.
Hi.
And Dr. Hakima Jahan.
Greetings, my dear sisters.
So in this conversation, we are going to be discussing, what are we going to be discussing tonight, Hakima?
I think I need a drink. Why the need for alcohol to be served at every function that we attend?
Blame it on the
blame it on alcohol.
Alcohol.
All right, Jamie Foxx. Yeah, I want to put that question out there because I just observed being at different events. Well, even before the invitation is put out, the comment with people is, what y'all gonna be drinking? It's like people don't want to know, they don't want to come until a confirmation is made that it's either bring your own alcohol or alcohol will be served. And then all of a sudden you get confirmation or reservation that people will attend. So I want to put this question out on the floor. Why is it that us as Black people feel like we can't have a good time without having alcohol present and being involved in drinking alcohol? Like we can't have fun without having a drink in our hand. Why is that?
That's a heck of a question.
I got some theories.
Let us know. What you thinking, Akila?
No, seriously, I really think that some people don't know how to socialize without having some type of intoxicant to make them feel relaxed and have the ability to actually socialize with other people, which is kind of sad if you ask me. Or I've heard people say, oh, have a drink, get loose. Well, why do I need to be loose? You know, some people have a natural high and some people just don't have it. And so they can't put their game face on without, I guess, loosening some of their inhibitions. Maybe that's what it is. But I just noticed that some people, they just enjoy that feeling, or it's almost like you need this medication before you can go out and be yourself. But if you're intoxicated, I question if you really are yourself. But that opens up a whole other series of questions. But it's like, why do you lack the ability to be yourself, or to even just, be in a social environment if you haven't had a drink? Why is there a need for that? I don't know. I'll give you all an example. I was at a cookout one day, and this guy asked me. He said, "You don't want anything to drink?" I said, "No, I don't drink." And he started laughing. He said, "Man," he said, "I really admire you." He said that you can be around all of these people with all this people drinking, and it doesn't even influence you. It's like you have a natural high. I said, I absolutely do. I don't need to do that. But you hear about people taking a drink. Oh, I need to calm my nerves. So they drink alcohol. I
Yeah.
need to. I mean, seriously, you look at people. I mean, years ago when I used to work as a flight attendant, do you know how many people that said, okay, I'm nervous, give me a drink. Somebody getting ready to perform and they have jitters before they go on stage, give me a drink. Give me something to calm me down. So that sounds like medication to me.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what happens. As we've discussed before, we use alcohol as a way to self-medicate. We use it as a way maybe to get rid of the feeling or whatever it is that we don't want to feel, um, to make us feel better or to allow us the opportunity to escape. I do hear people talking about drinking so that they can relax, if they came in from a hard day's work, being able to, sit back and just kind of settle in and, drink something so that they can sleep good. Or so I've heard different reasons why people drink, and I know that there are different reasons. Um, Now, what will we say for people who they've seen alcohol just as a part of their everyday life, growing up, like their parents drank. So it just became, you know, a culture, within the household. Is that different?
I think it's conditioning. So I don't necessarily think that it's different, because the effects are still the same. You're growing up, and so you've been taught that this is how you have a good time. I think most of the alcohol use that we have is based on seeing it growing up where it's been normalized. I think most people who grow up in an environment where there is no alcohol in the environment, what are the odds that they actually end up drinking anyway? I mean, it just depends, because I've seen people who have grown up around a bunch of drinking and they don't drink at all for that same reason, because they grew up with alcoholic parents. So I think it just varies, but it can be conditioning where it's made to seem like it's just a part of what you do. It's just what we do. Addiction is also the result of drinking. And I think sometimes people think that they're not addicted. Oh, well, I just have a glass of wine every night. You can't go to sleep without a glass of wine. That means you got an addiction. But I'm not an expert that can actually diagnose somebody with an addiction. So let me put that out there. But if you can't go without something, then to me that indicates that there's some kind of problem.
I've
Hmm.
had people tell me, and it's funny because I've gone to events and people say, "Oh, you're not gonna drink." And one thing I've noticed is the men more concerned with whether or not I'm drinking. Oh, you should loosen up. I said, why? So you can figure out a way how to get in my pants. I said, it ain't happening. You can't get in my pants sober, and I stay sober, so I don't drink. I said, so you thinking if I get her drunk, I can get in her pants? It ain't happening because I'm not gonna drink. My mother taught me when I was a young girl. She said the one thing you don't do is go drinking with men,
Mm-hmm.
because what's gonna end up is they gonna get drunk and whether you drunk or not, whatever they got on the menu, and if you own the menu, you're gonna be on your back if that's what they want. So I was taught to be mindful that you don't go drinking with men anyway, especially women going out with a group of guys, whether you know them or not. People become different when they drink, not just men, but the same guy that you cool with, when he's drunk, now that guard down, that sense of what's right or wrong has just been pushed to the side, and it's all about his emotions and what he wanted at that time. But
Mm-hmm.
I've been in environments where the men were more concerned with making sure the women had all what they had to drink. You cheap as hell, but you sure ain't got no problem providing me with whatever I want to drink and how often I want to drink. So
Hmm.
oftentimes people's motive for drinking is to get you in a vulnerable situation. I've had people often also tell me that, oh, I drink only because I really don't drink, but everybody else drinking. So I've had people show me I'm on the same drink, just the same drink I've been on all night. They really ain't drunk anything.
And that sounds
You
like peer
understand what I'm saying?
pressure.
Peer pressure. So maybe that is, I mean, that could be a good part of it, why people may find themselves in situations like that. I mean, we all have been young adults at some point in our life. I know for me, when I think back when I was like an age where I was coming out of my teenage years, into like my adult years or the early adult years, I had friends who definitely drank. And I myself, at that time, I really wasn't interested. I think I always had like a fear. I don't like to know that something is taking place and I'm unaware. I like to be aware of my surroundings, aware of everything that's taking place. I didn't like, going out with friends and then me having to tell them what they did. And they're like, really? I did this, I did that. And I'm like, wow, you didn't remember, you didn't know. And so that's something that's always made me uncomfortable. But when I think about it, it was still a lot of peer pressure because the other people who may have hung out with us, the only reason they probably drank was because, someone else in the group drank. For me, I just had a little bit more fear of not knowing. I guess I'm just too nosy not to know what happened. And I need to know. I don't want no one telling me the next day that I, did anything outrageous and I can't remember. That's like the worst for me. So peer pressure, I'm sure, does play a major factor.
Oh, absolutely. But I just wonder sometimes, like, why do we feel that need though to escape? Like, what's going on that you need an escape? People that come home, just like the regular drinkers that drink every day. Why do you need a buzz? And I mean, and that's the thing that I often think about. I mean, I'm sure, back in the day, when I was much younger, but we may have tasted something here and there, but just the idea of it was certain things that I never liked, and that was like public intoxication. But a lot of times I think people did it because they thought it was fun. You know, people got a kick out of telling people how they acted the next day. And it was all fun and games. And especially when you're talking about on college campuses, they have drinking games, people taking shots, people, the kegs and chugging beer and all of these things. And it's like it's done in fun, but with no understanding of the repercussions that come behind that type of usage. We have people that end up getting raped as a result of intoxication, particularly with women being taken advantage of. But that doesn't mean that a man can't be taken advantage of, due to intoxication. Not knowing the people that are around you. When you get drunk with people, are they really your friends? Who really has your back? And so it's just like, I think it's a responsibility thing where you really need to be careful, particularly as far as getting intoxicated.
People, oftentimes people will get you drunk just so they can see how stupid you act,
Mm-hmm.
how much of a fool you act. I've just from being around a lot of coworkers, and they share their experiences. It's like the next day everybody want to come back to work and, oh, you see so and so, they did this, and everybody's laughing. And then when they come in the room, it's this big, let's make fun of this person like we in high school. And I'm saying to myself, there's some straight devilish type behavior here. Like, why do I take entertainment in you acting a fool because of something that I've given you that I know from experience causes people to act a certain type of way, basically act other than themselves, and something that they will regret. And we laugh, and the people in the room, as people in the room laugh about that, we're laughing. Ah, why do we? I don't understand the devious thinking in that. Why do you, or maybe it's just psychopathic thinking. Like, why do you take pride in torturing someone in that manner? Why do you want to see someone make a fool of themselves? But that's what a drinking party becomes.
One of the things that I remember being told, just to your point, was not to drink with coworkers, not to go out drinking, because first of all, when you work with people, it's like you don't typically go to work to try to make friends. You're there to make a living. And so a lot of people like to bring coworkers out, get them drunk to get information. To, some people sabotage their whole careers because they're out drinking with their bosses, and they're out drinking with all of these people. And I recall some years ago, I went out to this, it was a bar or whatever it was, a restaurant, bar or something, with coworkers, and they were all drinking and having a good time. And they kept asking me, you're not going to drink? Nope. Because I'm like, I do not drink like that. I would never drink with my coworkers. You would not get ready to get in my business like that. You don't need to know me like that. But we don't even realize that we even sabotage our careers like that. There's so many things that we have to think about around this. I mean, and it's not just people trying to get information from you, which is another issue. You're just so quick to take a drink from somebody. My mother used to tell me too, this had nothing to do with just alcohol, but if you go somewhere, if you put your drink down, don't drink it. You walk away, because people spike drinks all the time. And how many times do we hear about people out having alcohol and somebody drops an ecstasy pill in their drink, and they got you doing all kinds of, you know what. So, or any other kind of drug, date rape drugs, all of these, it's just, so it's like, why are we so fascinated with alcohol when we know that these are all of the things that happen as a result sometimes of drinking? You drink to the point of passing out. How is that good?
You get into the physicality of it, how it causes harm to the body. And you're right, we just touched in the beginning on social aspect of drinking, but what it does to our bodies and what it does to our relationships. My biological father had his drinking issues, and so just things that my mother, the way she raised me, was his behavior influenced that. He became violent, and so my mother let me get drunk one time just to see how I would act, because she said, I needed you to see what was in you, because if you see it before you go out in the street, you may make a better decision and not do it. And so I got drunk. She let me get drunk with my cousins, and we were, hey, pa, hey, we having fun. Everybody having a good time. By the end of that night, I was violent, crying and acting a fool. And she said, I needed you to see that, because that's in your DNA. How you respond, how the alcohol affects you, it's in your DNA. The best is just to leave it alone. And that was the greatest lesson I could have learned. I ain't fool with that after that. I might have dabbled in it, but I would go back to that night and say, that's just not for me. And not understanding why someone would be okay with waking up in the morning with a hangover.
Right.
With a headache out of this world, or throwing up. Your face is in the toilet. Why do you continue to put yourself through that? I don't understand why you would continue to put yourself through that, or you show up at work and your performance sucks because you got a hangover from being drunk the night before.
Yeah. The adverse effects that it has on you, it's incredible. But they do it all over again. So it just makes you question, why? What is it? So then it says to me that if getting drunk and then having the physical reactions behind getting drunk, has that type of effect on you, why do you repeat the cycle? Why do you every weekend want to go through headaches and upset stomachs and all of this? Why? And so we just have to then go and look at, again, why is there a dependency? It sounds like there's a dependency and escapism, because how else do we explain the, knowing fully well what the adverse effects are, but yet you continue to do it.
Yeah. And I think for me, I mean, because there have been times, even though growing up, or in, my years of early adulthood, I was not interested in drinking, but I did have friends who drank. And most of the time, I usually was the designated driver. And again, when I would watch how my friends responded, and I would have to be the one to tell them, what they did, and we would all be laughing. I'm like, oh yeah, you did this, you was acting like you could fly, whatever the case might be. It made me to be more cognizant and aware that that was not something I wanted to partake in. But there were times where I did, whether it was peer pressure, whatever, and even in adulthood. And at that time, it was just like, let me just see. But I never liked the way I responded. I would not like that person, like how you spoke about Dr. Hakima. I mean, I would cry, I would laugh, and I would cry. Those were two things I did more than anything. I would crack up crying, laughing. And it would just be horrible. It was just like a hot mess. And I'm like, who wants to do that? But then, some people will say, well, I don't get myself to that point. I drink, but I don't get drunk. There's a difference. And I've heard people say that in conversation that, when they talk about consuming alcohol, they consume enough to where they are not intoxicated and where they still have control, over their physical selves. So would you say that, and so many may say that's drinking responsibly. It's social drinking and it's drinking responsibly.
So what's
So
the
is
point
there a
of,
difference?
but I'm saying, but what's the point? What's the point of drinking an alcoholic beverage?
Well, I guess it would be like what some people might say is the point of having a cup of coffee. People have coffee to wake them up. People have coffee to, get their day started. People have coffee to, I don't know, keep them feeling a certain way,
Which I think
and
caffeine is also you get addicted to caffeine too.
well, it definitely is an addiction. People have chocolate to do the same thing. I mean, there are many things that people do where there are, things that are ingredients that are found in the substance, and it alters, um, who they are in some kind of way. So what's the difference? Is alcohol, and I'm, just asking for a friend. No, not really. But these are the questions I think that maybe if we had other people on the show, they might say, what's the difference?
Well,
You got your coffee, I got my alcohol. Now what?
Yeah, but caffeine doesn't do to you. Caffeine doesn't change you as a person. Just because you get perky, i.e., I'm just not sleepy, is not the same thing as me acting completely other than myself. So caffeine.
Have you seen how people act when they don't get their caffeine in the morning?
Well, I mean, somebody could be cranky. Yeah, maybe they need to go to bed at night and get more rest. But I'm just saying it's certainly. I think it's like comparing apples and rocks.
Not apples and oranges, apples and rocks.
Apples and rocks, completely. I seriously think that. I mean, I think that yes, we can be addicted to different things, and so people can argue that addiction is addiction. But we're also not talking about everybody that's drinking alcohol has an addiction either. So yeah, we can overindulge in many things that may, in the long run, have some long-term health effect on us. But we're talking about something that, the overindulgence in alcohol can lead to cirrhosis of the liver. I mean, it could lead to major health issues and organs breaking down. It can I can't think of the term that I'm looking for, but I mean, people who have cancer of the larynx, that's usually a combination of smoking as well as alcohol that irritates it. So
it's definitely a fact that drinking alcohol can lead to a lot of different things. I mean, even when you think on the fact that, our circadian rhythm, it changes because alcohol lowers the body's, circadian rhythm, which leaves us susceptible to a whole lot of things. Even our vibration gets lower.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we become, as we already discussed, we become irrational, we become more violent, we become more everything. We become more sexual, less logical. And so all of this is associated with alcohol consumption. And then it also weakens our connection that we have with our higher self, because we don't have the rationale that we would have if we weren't intoxicated. Now it's difficult, for us to rise up and operate from a higher level of being. This is why they, refer to alcohol as spirits,
Mm-hmm.
because in many cases, we take on another spirit. It's a it's a poison, you know. It is a poison. So if you look at it like, you're putting something that's in your body that does not necessarily belong. So yes, there are a lot of physical, spiritual, as well as mental challenges that do come from consumption.
Yeah. And again, I mean, at the end of the day, to each his own. If somebody feels the need to drink, but I just one of the things that I think, as somebody who doesn't drink, is that idea that because you don't drink, that something's wrong also. So you have a lot of people who drink,
Right.
and then they're looking at you like you're crazy. Because I've been asked, well, do you drink? No, like nothing at all. And so, but if I reverse the question to someone and said, so do you drink? And they say, yes. Oh my God, all of that. I mean, so we can both play that game as far as that. But it's like, but it's also insulting to people who don't drink for you to feel like something's wrong with them because they don't drink. Like that rationale is so crazy to me. Like, you can't even conceive or of the idea that somebody doesn't want to be intoxicated. So why is that? I mean, I guess my whole thing is like really just for, to question your motives. Like, what makes you want to drink? And yeah, you can say, oh, if I feel good, I feel happy, I feel this. But why do you need that to make you feel that
And I think that, yeah, that for me, that's important too. Um, I would prefer to be able to be in a state of being high just on what I have naturally.
way? Mm-hmm.
And is it possible? Absolutely. Because I'm high most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Get
I
high.
don't, huh?
No, I was going to say, when they say don't get high off your own supply, but in this situation, yes, get high
Right.
off your
Yeah, I want to
own
get off my,
supply of
right.
self-love.
Right. I, I think at least that puts me at a place where I feel like I'm in control. That's probably my biggest thing, is just being able to remain in control of myself. And I feel like when I add something, I'm already extra. I'm saucy enough, you know, you know, I don't need anything additional to
You don't
dealing
need
with
that
me just
cherry.
about. I don't need no cherry on top. And then I will be super extra, and y'all be like, come and get her. And I like being in control, like a little too much, at least of myself. I think that's just so important for me. I, I don't, yeah. And then I think about how special I am. And this is not to say that people drinking are not special. This is just me talking about me. I love myself so much that I don't want to put anything in my body, continuously, that is going to disrupt the natural function of who and what I'm made of and who I am and how I respond. When I think about my liver, when I think about my lungs, when I think about my heart, when I think about all of my organs and just my kidneys and everything, and just how they work together for the greater good of me adding something in the mix that's going to shake that up and that's going to disrupt it, the thought of that, bothers me. I don't even like to put lotion on my skin and soap on my body that has toxins in it. I mean, I read labels like seriously. I am a stickler for that. So if I'm not going to take soap and use it because it has chemicals, or deodorant and use it because it has aluminum or whatever it has in it, or use toothpaste that has fluoride, then surely I don't want to consume a beverage that is going through my entire bloodstream and ill affecting this beautiful temple, because I only have one. So I have to take care of it. So that alone is enough to keep me, from it. And again, sometimes we do things in excess. So we can be extreme with it. And I guess because I have friends, who drink, and who they may say, but that's not me. I'm not drinking so I can get drunk or anything like that. I'm just having a drink every once in a while. I'm having something, it's not that big of a deal. And maybe it's not, maybe it's not. But for me, that's my reason behind what I do.
Maybe
Well, I
it's
think
not in moderation.
this would not be a topic if it wasn't for the people who were drinking to get drunk. Let's face it, it wouldn't be an issue if people would take one drink and just go home. It wouldn't be. I remember when I was a little girl and my grandfather had invited some friends over. And when he invited some friends over, it was like he poured something for them, he poured something for himself. And I just remember while I was playing or doing whatever, he's telling them, did you just gulp down my drink? And the guy was like, man, pour me another, something to the extent. And he was like, man, you don't drink to get drunk. He said, that's my drink, you sip it. And this is coming from a man who made his own wine. And I remember him saying, you sip alcohol. You don't drink it to get drunk. This is an adult drink. This is something you do to enjoy the moment, to savor the moment. He told that person, you can get out. He said,
Oh,
you didn't even
wow.
come with nothing. So I was just, that stuck in my mind, because this conversation ain't for the alcohol connoisseur, the people that drinks every now and then, the person that have a glass and they walk away. That's not what this conversation is geared to. This conversation is geared to those people who drink because of peer pressure. I just want to drink because my boys drink. I just want to drink because my girls drink. I just want to drink because I don't want to be seen as the only person in this room that's not drinking. That's what this conversation is more geared to, because the issue of alcoholism would be a problem if everyone would just take that one little sip
Take your
and
drink
go
and
home.
go home.
And go home. We wouldn't need designated drivers as everybody just drink because they just like, I just like to drink a little bit. People don't like to drink a little bit. They drink to get drunk. That's the whole point of why they drink. They're not drinking because they like it. I've heard people say, I don't even like it, but I like how it makes me feel. So basically, you're drinking to get drunk. That's what you're saying.
But now fruity drinks might taste good to people.
What, but ask yourself, what are they doing? They mixing drinks. They doing all kind of things to
To
camouflage the taste,
camouflage.
so that or so they could deal with the taste. If very few people drinking something straight, because it's burning when it's going down. So I mean, I'm not a drinker, but I have drunk, so I
Right,
know.
right.
I know the effects of
Well,
you drinking to get drunk so you can get this buzz. That's what people say. I drink this because this gives me a buzz. It's not because they like how it tastes. It's not because, oh, I'm at a social event and this is, they have free champagne on the table and I took a couple of small, flutes of champagne. They do this because they had this man say, I want to turn up. They want to party. They want to forget about their problems. They want to escape reality. So I guess the question is, what reality are people trying to escape? It can't be the reality that you're the original black woman, black man and woman. Why would you want to escape that? That's a wonderful reality. I wouldn't want to escape that. But people are
mhm.
trying to escape these realities of problems that they don't want to face or don't have the ability to face alone. Alcohol is when you get off your high, those problems still gonna be there. So drinking alcohol is only gonna let you forget about the pain for a minute, but the pain always comes back.
Yeah. And then again, why do we, if there's no alcohol at the event, why do people not want to attend? Like, why do you have to, why does it have to be there? Oh, it's a dry event. Oh, no, man, I can't come. I need some
Yeah.
alcohol.
I mean, no,
True
that's real
indeed. True
fun.
indeed.
I've had people to um, choose to look for another place as a rental, for the center that me and my husband operate because of the fact that, we did not allow alcohol. Like, oh, never mind. And I get it because think about it. People who put on social events most of the time, they're typically going to be centered around outside of the event itself, but it's going to be centered around food and, the fun of what comes with what people believe comes with alcohol. So if you're telling me that this is like a staple, I guess it's like people who have to have French fries with a burger or hot sauce, as a condiment, with a particular meal. Alcohol, it is one of those things that is a package deal. You either take us both or you leave us. We can't do this. Restaurants who don't serve alcohol, are they more, do they get more traffic when they have alcohol or do they get less traffic? You know, Especially if they're open after hours. If a place is open after hours and, there's no alcohol served, I'm sure there are many are like, well, why would we go there? Would people go to a club if the club didn't have alcohol? These are things that, again, we've gotten so used to within our cultural so-called norm that to not have it would mean that something is definitely wrong and it poses a problem.
You
Yeah.
mentioned something about talking about, I guess, society. Think about the media or the companies and how they promote alcohol. It's
Hmm.
always, think about it when you're watching sports or when you're watching something on television. It's always fun. Hey, everything is good. It's gravy. We're having so much fun. It's the perception that alcohol brings fun. But
Mm-hmm.
generally, when you see a commercial, it's always a man surrounded by three, four women. So guys think, oh, to drink is to attract women. Then in many of the ads, you see the woman and guys coming to buy her a drink. So she drinking so this dude can spend money on her. I mean, it's just all of these subliminal messages that is put in there. Oh, you can get women if you drink. You can
Mm-hmm.
attract men to your table where you sitting if you drink. So these are subliminal messages that are going in our heads. So you have to ask yourself, why are these messages being put out there? Why do these companies feel the need to promote alcohol to the masses like that? And what are their motives?
Particularly in our communities, we have so many billboards that are geared towards alcohol use. We have events that are promoted by alcohol brands. We have entertainers that promote alcohol in their songs, and so it's definitely something that's being driven home for the Black community, that this is what you need, and it does. It provides us escapism. I mean, we can go here and go with the amount of racism and white supremacy. I mean, all of these factors, it's coping. It's like, and so you keep giving us this idea, this is how you cope. This is how you cope. And they've been coping like this for years. It's not like it just started. When somebody is down, it's like they go in the dumps and they're drinking the alcohol. But again, those are extreme situations that we're talking about as far as that's concerned. But we do have to question, why is intoxicants promoted in the Black community the way they are? And
And
quite frank,
people spend big money. That's the thing. These billboards and these ads, these commercials, this is big money that's being put here to promote these things.
oh yeah, and
Mm.
that's, and even people who wouldn't necessarily drink, or want that at their events. Like, let's go say a not-for-profit organization that
Right.
is trying to do work in the community or whatever. and you're looking for sponsorships, these alcohol companies will come and give you a whole lot of money.
They'll give you tons.
They'll give you
Yeah, so they
tons.
can pass out their product.
Yeah,
Right.
and then you
And
take
then the,
it, but your goal is to uplift your community, to resurrect your community, but yet you have advertising that suggests that we want to keep you in a state of sleep.
dumb, deaf, and blind.
Yeah.
That's why even, I mean, look at our organization, which is the Royal Empress. And we know when we put on events, we wouldn't dare take a dime, a nickel, or a quarter, or a penny from anyone who is going to promote something that we go against. But that's because of what we represent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are some who may feel like, hey, we need this. We need this money. These children need these clothes, or whatever their cause might be. But you have to ask yourself the question, what are you standing for? And if you're standing for truth, if you're standing for your people, and you know that these very things is what brings your people down to a level that's unacceptable, or a level that keeps them in a condition that we're attempting to raise them from, then it completely goes against, what you are working towards.
It's a contradiction.
Absolute contradiction.
It's a contradiction. But I would
right
love
now.
to challenge people that in your efforts to bring awareness to uplift our people, have events and stop having alcohol at the events.
Or see if you challenge yourself, like you said, can you do it?
Yeah.
Maybe that's our next challenge. You know how they did greens, beans, tomatoes,
Right.
all these challenges that go on. Maybe we can challenge
the no
to do
drinking
exactly what you're saying. The no drinking challenge. How would that work for you? Can you still listen? Can you still like yourself? Will you still like the man or the woman in the mirror if you didn't take a drink?
Mm-hmm.
Some people can't stand themselves, so they have to drown themselves.
But as the song goes, you can't hide from yourself, no matter where you go.
That's a house track. That's a house track right there.
Oh yeah.
That's the Teddy Pendergrass cut. I think what we have to, another challenge that we need to throw out to people is, are you willing to resist to save self? Is it about your love for self, or is it about how other people view you? As a people, our value is measured on how other people see us, and we need to get away from that.
Mm-hmm.
Why does it matter if your friend's drinking and you're not drinking? Let's just say that one night you don't want to drink. It's okay. You don't have to. Try to do every other event. Can I challenge people to start out with, oh, you know what? I drank at this event. The next event, I'm not going to have a drink. Just because alcohol is there does not mean everybody have to partake in it. And it does not mean that every event you have to partake in it as well. It can be there as an option. It doesn't have to necessarily be the first option. We need to stop basing our view of ourselves how other people view us and what they think of us. Who cares if they don't like the fact that you're not drinking? Sometimes you're not drinking at an event makes somebody feel guilty. Dang, I shouldn't be drinking anyway. So you're a thorn in their side when you're not drinking.
Yeah, your reminder.
Sometimes, we need to be that thorn in someone's side. So I challenge you, be that thorn in the side of those who are with you. Challenge yourself to prove to yourself that you're not an alcoholic. Say, you know what? I'm not drinking at this event. Prove it to yourself that you're not dependent on alcohol.
To have a good time or to function in life in general. I just wanted to quickly throw something out there, because like Shay, you were mentioning the effects that alcohol has on you and what you didn't like about it. And, we talked about the vibration, level and all of those things. But there's another thing that we have to talk about. And a lot of people are really talking about these things now, because it's not just in the foods we eat, different things that have been, genetically modified, and all of these, and how it affects the endocrine system. And alcohol actually alters the critical hormonal balance in the endocrine system. So as
Mm-hmm.
we're thinking about all of those things, those are factors too. So we're talking about just freeing our minds, but just being healthier people. I was reading, there's an article by two doctors, and it's called The Endocrine System: Alcohol Alters Critical Hormonal Balance. And it basically says that the effects on the hormonal system have widespread consequences for virtually the entire body.
Yeah.
And alcohol related hormonal disturbances can result in cardiovascular abnormalities, reproductive deficits in both the male and the female. Excess alcohol consumption includes immune dysfunction and bone disease. And then they're also exploring the ways that using, the hormonal mechanisms to help to treat alcoholics. So it's not just, when people casually say, oh, it's just a drink. Oh, I'm just drinking. But you have this whole system in your body and the way that it works. And to think that somehow it has no effect on you it's like an illusion. The same way that certain foods have a negative effect on us, many things that we do. And so really, I think many of us it's like a game of chance. We just roll the dice. Well, I've heard people say, well, something has to kill you. And no, it doesn't. It doesn't. So that mentality, I think, also lends itself to why people do some of the things that they do, including excessive drinking or even just drinking, socially and casually. It's still a risk.
And some things that you do when you're drunk is just irreparable. You can't repair. So now you've destroyed relationships all because of your dependency on alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Can often repair that. And so many marriages have been damaged. So many relationships with siblings and or children have been destroyed. I know people say, I don't talk to one of their parents because of that. Or they have parents or family members on restraining orders. They can't even come near them because of the situation that happened while someone was under the influence.
Yeah.
So with that heightened emotions and losing control of our emotions can be very, very damaging. So we looked at how alcohol affects our body, then affects our behavior. It's just toxic on all levels, toxic on the physical, emotional, and spiritual level.
When did we get this way?
So what's our solutions?
I don't know that there is a solution, to be honest with you, as it pertains to in this thing. I think it's more of us challenging people to really kind of look inside of themselves and evaluate why they do what they do, and maybe even take a alcohol fast to see how it affects you. Can you do it? Can you go without it? If you can't, if you crave it, why are you craving it? And really,
if you can't go without it, does that mean that maybe there's something deeper going on? Are you really, because we often will quickly say that we're not addicted to something. Oh, I can, I'll be okay. But then if you can't go without it for a day or two, then you may really need to, look deeper into that, because perhaps you may be addicted.
Well, I guess that leads to a solution. If you have a dependency on it, you need to get some professional help. By denying it or saying I don't have a problem, and you have a problem, you need to seek professional help. That is definitely one solution, because there are people who are listening to this podcast saying, this is me. I can't do anything without a drink. I need help. You need to seek professional help. There are plenty of organizations that assist those who have alcohol addiction. You have your family, or they give you emotional support, especially when you get out of hand at a household event. Your family's telling you out of control. You need to tap into the emotional support of your family. It's definitely one solution. Start listening. Start asking them how you act when you're drinking. How are you different? How does your behavior affect them when you're drinking?
Right.
Get more insights. You said what?
I say you're right. And then ask yourself, do you like that person? Meaning, do I like who I become? Do I like the person that I become when I am intoxicated? Do I even want to be around that person?
Well, the other question is too, do I like the person I am when I'm not?
Yes, that is the deeper question because
That,
typically that's what we're doing. We're running. We running
mm,
away. But you're taking yourself with you every day. So yeah, that is a question or a couple of
ah,
questions, that we can ask. And again, this conversation and any conversation that we have is all out of love. Most of our conversations stem from something that we've heard, something that we witnessed, something that we've seen, other conversations that we've had, and then we want to, you know, discuss it so that we
and
can come up with solutions, so that we can talk it out. And in no way are we making judgment on anyone about anything. We all have our differences of opinion. Those of us who are represented on this show, we don't always agree with everything, but just kind of going into some discovery and evaluating and looking deeper, into the issues that plague our community, and alcoholism and, drinking happens to be one of those things that we've taken notice to. So I just wanted to say that to our listeners. Um,
I just want to add too that you mentioned that based on what you mentioned, I just want to add that our podcast are also based on our own personal experiences. We have family members that have addictions to alcohol and have suffered from that. So we're not, like you said, not passing judgment. We've experienced and lived it and have suffered from it, whether it's by our hand or anyone else's. At some point when I did drink, I'm sure I affected someone.
mhm.
But there are family members that I have witnessed have destroyed their lives, some to the point that divorces, some to the point of, oh my God, I'm the doctor telling me I need to stop drinking or I'm going to die. So definitely from coming from this conversation is also coming from a place of experience as well.
Well, we thank you for joining us once again on another conversation with the Royal Empress. We invite you to join us next week, same time, same place.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Conversations with the Royal Empress. Tune in next week for another enlightening conversation. For more information on the Royal Empress, please visit the website royalempress.org. You can also follow the Royal Empress on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Conversations with the Royal Empress is a subsidiary of the Royal Empress organization. All rights reserved.